Hey, Mom, listen, I'm finally going to be able to go to that college. And I was able to pass all my exams and interviews for the college of my dreams. So starting this fall, I'll be able to finally step into that college as a student. That's fantastic to hear. Did you really end up passing all your exams and interviews? I'm so happy to hear all of this from you finally, June. Congratulations. Not only are you going to be able to attend that school now, but you'll even have the chance to become a Harvard alumni. That's so amazing. You really did give it your all there, and this is the reward you're getting for it. Well, I did end up taking after Dad and became a really intelligent woman. I could really say that passing those exams to get into Harvard was a piece of cake for someone with my genes. You have that right. Ever since you began to speak, you've been just like your dad, and you were so smart. Well, now that I've heard the good news from you, we're going to have to prepare a celebration. What do you want to eat for dinner tonight? I'll give it my all to make you whatever kind of dinner you ask for. You don't have to worry about tonight. As a celebration for my passing my final year, Dad is taking me out to eat. Just the two of you? Am I not allowed to come and celebrate with the two of you? You know that you're not allowed to. I mean, all you are is a high school graduate. What? Dad ended up continuing his education doing postgraduate work, and even now is working in the labs at the school. And I turned out just like him, having passed the entrance exams into Harvard. Do you really think there's room for a high school graduate between he and I? I'm sorry, but I won't be happy having someone who's never been to college celebrating my graduation. June, what are you talking about right now? I get that you feel on top of the world right now after having passed all your interviews at Harvard, but you still haven't become a student there, right? I understand that you've passed the exams and all that, but you still have to wait until you've graduated high school yourself. So at the moment, you're not even considered a high school graduate, right? Talking like you know anything is really getting on my nerves. Especially since you've never gone through any sort of education after high school. You are the number one idiot in this family, so you have no right to be talking to me like you're a distinguished person. Did you just call me an idiot? Hold your horses there, June. Did you really just say that to your own mother? Who do you think it was that allowed you to take those exams for Harvard, as well as allowed you to go study after school in those cram classes? And who has it been that's been here supporting you this whole time through all of it? We all know it's been Dad who's been there supporting me and helping me get through all my classes and exams. He's the one that works in the research department within that university, so it has to be him. He's from a very amazing college himself, as well as has the brains of a scientist, so I know he's been the one. You don't feel that I could have been the one that helped you through all of that? I'm the one that's been working a lot through my career to support both you and your father, June. And I've been the one paying for all the groceries in this house, along with all the bills, totaling around $2,000 a month. Haven't you realized that it's been me paying for all of that? Oh, what are you trying to say then? I'm surprised Dad ever married you when all you are is a high school graduate with little to show for it. I think he was very generous for allowing you to become a part of his family, and maybe that's why you're paying $2,000 a month. What? In other words, you working your butt off to pay the bills does not matter to me because you're just paying Dad back for what he's had to sacrifice by marrying you. And you are a high school graduate, so whatever work you do is probably way too simple and requires no thinking. So compared to what you do for this family, Dad's job is way more difficult and amazing. He's a researcher for a university, so the money he makes must be at least 10 times what you bring in. Excuse me? Listen, June. Have you really thought of me, your mother, like that this whole time? It's not that I've always been thinking that. Rather, it's all just facts. You are the number one idiot in the house and have little to show for after you got out of high school. So I have something to say to a mother like you. And what is it that you'd like to say? I would like for you to get the hell out of this house. I am about to become a Harvard student in the next few months, and having a high school graduate like you in this house is just embarrassing. So while Dad and I are out celebrating me graduating high school and getting into Harvard, you can stay home packing your things and getting out of here. Huh? So I'm the embarrassing one. And what do you mean, get out of the house? What are you talking about, June? I spoke with Dad about this already, but he says when I start to go to Harvard, things are going to get a bit tougher for me. I'm going to have to start learning a lot of new things, and I'll need the right environment to study in full time. But if there's a huge idiot in the house with me, that environment, which I'm supposed to study in, is going to fall apart. So that's why I'd like for you to get out of this house. This is not the kind of thing I'd like to be hearing from you right now, June. What kind of reasoning is that for you wanting your mother to leave her house? I'm sorry, Mom, but Dad agrees with me 100%. He said in order to help me graduate from Harvard, he's willing to divorce you. What did you just say? Us intelligent folk only do our best when surrounded by others that are just as intelligent as us. But if there's someone of mass stupidity amongst us, then the intelligence in the whole family begins to break down. And Dad does not want me turning into an idiot like you. What? Has your father really said things like that about me? Has he really gone and called me an idiot like that? He has. That's why you need to hurry up and get out of this house. There's no need for a mother in this house that is less intelligent than her own daughter. Having a parent that's ever only graduated from high school is super embarrassing. Are you really okay with that? I have Dad here to support me, so I'm totally okay with you going. Even without my stupid mother here in this house, I still have an admirable father that'll make sure to meet all my needs. We won't even ask you to pay for my college or for me to be fed or dressed in this house, so get lost already. Well then, I'll take you up on that wish of yours and leave this house. I'll fill out the divorce papers before I leave, so all Dad has to do is sign them.
Thank you so much for filling out and leaving the divorce paperwork here for me yesterday. Just a second ago, I handed them all into the city office.
Well, that's a wrap then. From now on, you and I are divorced.
That's right. And we have no more use for you. I'll make sure to raise June properly from now on, so you won't have to worry about what's happening with her.
But will you be able to manage that? Up until now, you forced me to do everything around that house, as well as raise her while you've stayed out. And without me, there would be nobody there to pay for the house and your guys' food, so how do you plan to carry on now?
Huh?
Well, I'm telling the truth, right? I do think it's pretty great that you're working in that lab at the university in town doing research. But even if you're working there with a master's degree in your field, you aren't making nearly that much. And when it comes to what you are making, you're putting most of that back into your research, right? That's the whole reason why you've had me be the one to use my earnings up to support the household. If it wasn't for all the extra work I've put in, I'd never have any savings to work with right now.
Well, don't worry about that because there's been a major change for me as well. I have just been contacted by a company overseas that is willing to hire me to go work for them.
What? You got an offer from an overseas company to go out and work for them? That right there is an absolutely amazing thing for you, right?
With where I'll be going, it's expected that I'll be making around $500,000 a year doing my research for them. And depending on the outcome of my research, I can expect to be getting close to $1 million in bonuses.
You'll be able to make that kind of money?
That's what you can expect from an overseas company willing to hire an American to go work for them. Unlike the universities and companies here, they are willing to pay a pretty penny for an American researcher with my background. I'll be able to continue the work I love while making massive amounts of money per year.
I see. You asked for a divorce because you've been offered such a great job promising lots of money. I was only ever useful to you because I was able to pay for whatever you couldn't afford, which was mostly everything.
Right now, I'm considered a top researcher in my field who is about to go global. And I should not have to continue to be married to a high school graduate like you any longer. You would only bring shame to my image. When I'm overseas, I'm going to be invited to all sorts of dinners with other elite people. And I can't be bringing a woman like you along with me.
So even you like to call me an embarrassment, huh? Not even a single thanks has come out of your mouth after all I've given for you and June. Instead, constantly looking down on me for never graduating from any higher level of education.
Man, I cannot believe I came out on top being offered to work for such an elite company. And not just by any elite company, but a company called Greenberg that specializes in all kinds of technology.
Greenberg?
Oh, even a high school graduate like you knows the name of this company. Thanks to the research I'll be able to do for their company, the stock prices are bound to go up for the company. I'd recommend buying all you can of this company's stock so that you will also have some money in the future.
Hold on a second. Isn't this all a bit strange to you? I've read about how that company is no longer planning to work with researchers from your department anymore.
Huh? They don't?
As your wife, I've always kept up on the news regarding your job and companies relating to it. And I think I read about this on one of the foreign news web pages. From what I read regarding Greenberg, they're starting to slow down any research that has to do with what you specialize in.
No way a high school graduate that's ever been to college could actually understand foreign news well enough to get that from it. I think you have a big misunderstanding is all. Why would a company like Greenberg be asking me to work for them if they don't plan to do any research in my field of expertise?
I wouldn't be so sure about that, Jeremy. These days, you can use translating apps to translate all sorts of web pages so that you can fully understand them. I think before you take their offer, you should look into their company a bit more. And maybe take one more look at the offer they sent you as well.
Shut up already. I'm not going to listen to the woman I just divorced talk about my work like she knows a dang thing about it. I'm sure you're just trying to get me to reject the offer now because I'll be making a whole lot of money with it. Well, no matter how hard you try, I'm not going to turn that company down.
Really? I'm not saying all of this because you have a chance to make a lot of money.
Well, you can stop with all this mundane crap that you keep spewing at me now, right? I'm going to accept this generous offer and then go work for a company that's willing to pay me properly for my work. I will no longer need your help anymore either, Sally.
I even tried to warn you about all of this, but I don't know how else to help you now. You run along and don't worry about your ex-wife anymore and go do whatever pleases you. But if you come to regret your decision later on, don't come crawling back to me crying.
You think I'll come crawling back to you? You are nothing more than a brainless woman who offers no further use to my family. You're the one that better stay away from us when you come to regret never ever getting a proper education.
Now that I think about it, I'd like you to start sending me money again and paying for me to go to Harvard. By the end of this week, I'd like you to put around $10,000 into Dad's bank account for me. Shouldn't that dad of yours, that you brag about so much, be able to pay for you to stay in school? He should be able to, but so far, he's still not been paid by the company he's working for at the moment. Seems he accidentally signed that contract, not realizing that he'd only get paid at the end of each year working in that company. He'll be making $500,000 by the end of the year, but for right now, he doesn't have the money to pay for me. What? He only gets paid once a year? Apparently, the company he works for now doesn't pay the same way companies in the US do. But unfortunately, that's not a good enough reason for Harvard, and they want me to pay for schooling by the end of this month. So for the time being, I'll have you pay for me to go to school. We'll make sure to pay you back later on after Dad gets his money. I can't believe this. I thought even Jeremy would have been able to see past that offer he was given. I suppose that he hasn't told you the truth yet about his work then? Huh? The truth? Well, it's not just him though, but you as well, June. You and your dad both fell for that crap even though you both claimed to be so intelligent. When really the two of you are straight up clowns. Huh? Who the hell are you calling a clown? And what are you talking about with Dad not seeing past that offer? I'm talking about how your dad, that you brag so much about, is a massive idiot. Right now, he's not working for a company overseas. And that's why he'll not be getting an income of $500,000. Which means you both can expect nothing by the end of the year. Huh? Really, he's been played as a fool with that offer. And this whole thing about him getting any sort of money at the end of the year is a lie he's made up to fool you too. And another thing, no matter what kind of situation you end up in down the road, I'm not planning on paying for you to go to school. Now go off and talk with your dad about his current situation and make sure to pay your school by whatever deadline they've given you. Wait a moment. What do you mean Dad isn't working for a company overseas right now? There's no way he'd turn down an offer like that promising huge amounts of money. To tell you the truth, there never was an offer like that, June. Just as I had thought, your dad has been played a fool by some kind of random email. Huh? What do you mean random email? I'm sure that your dad did happen to get an email from an overseas company with some kind of offer in it. But I think the company that sent him that offer made a mistake and sent it to the wrong person who ended up being your dad. They had another researcher in mind, but ended up sending the offer to your dad by mistake. What? I know about all of this because I'd been the wife of your dad for so many years. I kept my eyes and ears open in the communities he works in, and that's why I know more than you guys would think about him. If you want evidence as to why that offer wasn't for him, your dad is still in the US, right? He should have been relocated to France had he accepted the offer and been hired. Now that you mention it, Dad is still in the US. But he's always telling me that he's busy getting ready to leave to go to the new company. And there was a day he came home and was packing a lot of his things, so... Wait, could this mean that right now Dad doesn't have a job? Well, you'll have to ask your dad about that if you want an answer. Now, since you know more about the truth, I'll be going. Good luck getting the money you need to stay in school.
You've really done it now, telling June the truth about me. Why have you done this to me?
You're the one to blame for continuing to live a lie like that in front of her. Anyway, what are you going to do about paying for June to stay in school? I hear that she needs $10,000 for this month, but I doubt you have that kind of money just laying around, right? I received pretty much everything that was in our savings in the divorce, so there's got to be nothing in there.
Yeah, that's right. I don't have anything in savings at the moment. And that's why things regarding her schooling and living costs are getting pretty tight, especially since I was fired from my job.
You were fired from your lab?
When I got that email with the offer regarding the job overseas, I jumped on it and turned in my letter of resignation. But right after doing that, I realized that the offer wasn't meant for me. I tried to get the university to throw that resignation letter away, but it was too late for me and they said no. I learned that the university had been planning to get rid of me for a while now, and that was the perfect chance for them.
Oh my, that's a bummer for you then. So then you really are unemployed right now.
Even if I don't have a job right now, I'm a researcher. I'm sure that someday soon the research that I do will change this world in some way for the better. But it's screwed up that university and this world don't see how important my work is yet.
That's right. You've sacrificed more than anyone for your research and everything it relates to. And so I'll be waiting for the day that all you've sacrificed is put to good use and changes this world. But you ended up throwing out the one person that funded your research in any way, and I wonder if anyone else will be willing to listen to what you have to say.
Huh?
Your research is important, but you also have to find someone willing to actually fund it for you. But for some reason, you've only ever cared about your research and not about those who put their money into it for you. Always talking about those that don't support you as idiots. And that those that do not understand the importance of your work as inferior. If you keep thinking about those that fund you or consider funding you like that, then you're going to get nowhere with your research.
Huh? How does someone like you know anything about the type of work I do?
I know everything about the work you do, Jeremy. I'm the one that translated a lot of your papers for those overseas to understand, as well as have held relations with different institutions that have been wanting to fund you.
Ugh.
As you sat there doing your research all day and night, you made me handle all the public relations and things regarding business. I even did all of that for you while you continued to call me an idiot for never going any further past high school. Well, you've done it now, Jeremy.
Well, that's...
Well, don't worry, because I'm thankful for what you did. Because of all that work you forced me into, I was able to work from home all the time. I was able to start working for other researchers as well, doing their translations and things like that, and have made off with this work rather well. Right now, I'm making somewhere around $80,000 a year with this kind of work, and I don't even have to leave the house.
What? You're making that much a year from home?
There are a lot of researchers and companies asking for my skills, so I don't have to worry about money. And when I was still married to you, most of what I earned went to supporting you in June. But now, without you both in my life, I'm able to save up lots of money.
What?
I was a bit worried about my life after a divorce with you. But with a yearly income of around $80,000, I'm able to make ends meet.
You're lying, right? All I am is unemployed now. The man who graduated with a master's and is a researcher is currently without any work now. Why should a high school graduate like you be able to make that much?
That's because I worked my hardest to help support your research and the family. I literally sacrificed years of my life in working my job, doing all the chores and raising June just so that you could focus on your research. I even studied financing in my free time to learn how to manage the money better. And because of that, I'm able to do what I do now with a steady income and no worries.
Hey, Sally, what do you think about the two of us getting back together again? Come back here and start funding my research again.
Who the hell would want to fund your research, you dunce? If you're as intelligent as you always bragged about, then you can make up a way to bring in money and fund yourself. I never knew that you brought in that much money every year, Mom. Please, Mom, can you please start paying for me to stay in school for Dad? I'm sorry, but someone who never went anywhere after high school doesn't know how to send money to your dad for him to pay for your schooling. And you shouldn't have to ask for my money anyways, considering I'm so stupid. Please don't say things like that now. Just help me. If I don't pay for my semesters soon, I'm not going to be able to stay in school and will have to drop out. And then all that work I put into passing those exams will have been for nothing. I won't even be able to get into college anymore, Mom. Well, that just means you'll turn out like me as a high school graduate. Welcome to the life of us stupid people that never chose to move on to a higher education, June. I want to apologize for everything I ever said to you before, Mom. I'm so sorry for treating you like an idiot for so long. It's been all because of the money you brought into the family that Dad and I were able to study what we wanted and go where we pleased, so thank you. I want to keep saying sorry for what I've said, so please forgive me in return. Why should I forgive you? Do you realize just how much you hurt me after what you did to me recently? You were able to get accepted into Harvard after all, so you should be able to understand that, right? But, Mom! Stop asking me for help, and do what you can on your own. You also have your father that you brag so much about there with you. I'm sure two extremely intelligent people like you can make something happen. Now, you both have a good one. After that, I immediately changed both my phone number and email to avoid those two from ever talking to me again. And because of that, I've never had to hear from them again. As from what I've heard through the grapevine, June ended up never being able to pay for her first semester and had to drop out while bawling her eyes out. As of right now, she's been working multiple part-time jobs trying to save up to go to community college in the future. And as for my ex-husband, he ended up finding work as an office worker, and spends his days working a job that has nothing to do with his master's degree. And on top of that, he often thinks of himself as better than everyone else because of his past as a researcher. But his boss does his best to put Jeremy right back into his place by yelling at him in front of his coworkers. As for those two's life back at home, they are only able to afford gas station meals as they try to save for their future. But of course, that way of life that they've chosen has nothing to do with me. In my case, I've been able to find a nice apartment where I can spend my days working at home and enjoying the money I bring home. I'm able to keep all the money I earn for myself while enjoying the work that I do, which makes me very thankful for what those two did to me not too long ago.